Greetings. My name is John Peterson. I'm the Executive Director of School Administrators of South Dakota. Today is July 21st, and we're just concluding the Superintendent's Conference. And I convinced one of our speakers this morning to join us and share a little bit of his thoughts on, I guess, life in general. And this individual is Thom Flamboe. I first met Thom 2 years ago when he was our keynote speaker for the leadership conference that we do in Deadwood. And he impressed me, and I know when we were talking about speakers for the superintendents today, I thought it'd be good to have Thom back. And I made this comment, Thom, when we introduced you. I think we talk so much today about student achievement, and that's crucial. I mean, that's the mission and the motto for schools, to improve student achievement. But too many times we put all of our emphasis on our reading and our math, and we forget that the real key issue, I think, of student achievement is our physical and our mental well-being.
Yep.
Exactly. And you stress that.
Yes. Well, it's just like as a therapist, when you work with kids, it's much easier to deal with the kid problems than to deal with the adult problems. Much easier. Or even one of the first things that I learned when I took administration courses back at the University of Wyoming from Stan Hudson, the elementary principal in Manhattan, Kansas, said you can always tell what kind of principal is in that building, by just the teachers and the students you meet, which to me tells me there's a human element there that needs to be recognized and nurtured. So, but you're right, we do. We spend so much time on the R's and the achievements that we forget about the human elements that really are responsible for getting there.
Now, Thom, you're a professor at Presentation College up in Aberdeen.
Yes.
You've been in South Dakota since 1970 or somewhere in there.
So we moved here in '82.
Okay, you were in Wyoming before.
We were in Wyoming before that. We were only going to stay out 3 years in 1982. I don't know what happened. It just happened.
Now, today, you talked about some issues that are important for school superintendents, for example. Share some of your thoughts. What advice do you have? We've only got 10 minutes, but share with us some of the things you shared.
Well, I think one of the things that we had talked about, and Thom Mead, the teacher of the year, also talked about it, and that was having a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's probably not one of the things you think of right away, but certainly when you work with kids and young people and people in general, you have to have a sense of humor there somewhere. And I think the superintendents today express that they do indeed have a sense of humor.
Yes.
I also think that there's a real need to at least accept compliments or accept the fact that you have succeeded in your life. You've achieved a lot of really wonderful things in your life, and somebody will come up and say, geez, John, you did a great job, and not in your case, but someone might say, oh, anybody can do that. Well, not anybody can do that. We might think so, but when actually, it's all of that history, all of that upbringing, all of those life experiences that you've had over the years that have made you in your job the person who's there. So sometimes we forget that it's important to acknowledge that we've made some successes in our life. It's certainly important to acknowledge people around us, like Thom was encouraging all of us to recognize teachers as the hard workers and all that. So I think those are really important things to remember as superintendents and as people that have positions of authority and can do some really powerful things.
Now it's interesting, Thom, and we'll see if you agree with this, because this is the second time today now you brought that up, the ability to take a compliment. And I look at my generation. I'm one of the oldest baby boomers.
Yes.
Okay, and I realize that I'm getting to be a minority now. The younger generation is coming up and moving into leadership positions. But I think I was taught, and I think we were taught to be humble.
Yes.
To be humble.
Yes.
And to not be overconfident and to not say, well, thank you.
That's right.
It's just, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that's a Midwestern trait.
It is. I was brought up the same way. In fact, if you did, you were bragging.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yes. To me, bragging is you're doing something that you really didn't do, or you're talking about something you really didn't do.
Yeah.
I understand it, but I think you know where the humility line is.
Yeah.
We all know where the line is.
Yeah.
But someone may have taken quite a bit of anxiety and effort to give you that compliment, and for you to just throw it away is. Anyways, but no, I know what you're saying. I'm not saying to go bananas, but at least recognize.
Yeah. When you started out your presentation, you talked about let's do a little inventory here if you're a corporation, and talk a little bit about that.
If you were a corporation, would people want to buy stock in you? Was a Wall Street Journal article several years ago, and I've used it to talk about, like, say, the individual who comes to see me as a counselor or whatever, or as a couple. You know, one of the things, take an inventory of kind of just what anybody else would do. A business person would do is take an inventory of what kinds of things do they have, what do they need. So say physical. You know, I need to lose weight. Yeah, I need to exercise. Spiritual. Yeah, I need to think about, where my place is in the world. Or relationship, what my relationship with my friends and my significant other. Those things, taking stock and finding out where do I have strengths, where do I have some areas of improvement is vital as a starting point in building that corporation.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the situation with your dad.
Yes.
Where his generation from World War II
Yes.
and the Depression, and because I can relate to that. Men in that generation certainly were not very vocal, and certainly not very, I guess you had to read between the lines to hear what they were saying.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, my dad was one of those, and a mechanic on top of it. But he wrote me 3 or 4 letters. He liked to write. And so when he was dying and things weren't looking bad, I thought, I need to communicate something. So I wrote him a letter. And it was the best thing, probably one of the best things I ever did in my life. And we were able to at least say a few words. He had his voice box removed, so we couldn't talk about it. But I knew that that was a real important thing.
Yeah. Well, talk to us about some other issues. You deal a lot with troubled kids.
Yes.
What advice do you have for educators? I think
I think I know a lot of teachers that struggle with, I'm not their parents. Well, you're not. I'm not asking you. But I think just being there as an adult and being there as someone who, as Thom said, yes, we have to find that line between humor and having fun and discipline. I mean, kids want that. Kids want guidelines. They want limits. They want rules. But being there is that a lot of times as teachers know that when 3 o'clock comes and you're just about on the way out the door, someone's kind of hanging around outside the door and wants to talk to you. And there's so many teachers that are there, and I tell parents the same thing. The best thing you can do is be there.
Yeah. And I think your message was a reminder too that too many times I think the older we get, the more mature we get, the less we possibly laugh, and the less we take ourselves I think more seriously. And I think we have to work on that. I think we have to find, it's what? We need to laugh.
Yes.
We need to find some humor.
Yes.
And we need to cry.
Yeah, Jimmy Valvano's message on the YouTube and his ESPN award say we need to laugh every day, a little bit every day. We need to think a little bit every day, and we need to cry a little bit every day. And once you've done that, you've got a full day. I couldn't agree more.
Well, I think we're towards the end of our 10 minutes, and once again, I'm glad you came back because I certainly enjoy your talks, and I'll remember some of what you said.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.